before you went into your interview, how did you prepare yourself mentally and academically the day before and on the test day?
So a few days before, I basically went to like a crash course for MMIs.
Oh, you went to a crash course.
So basically they explain all the possible formats that may come up, and basically they taught us about ethics, which we have to like apply to like some of the stations where they ask like medical scenarios, and as well as basically teaching how to like communicate to like an audience.
So do you think this crash course was helpful?
It is to a certain extent, because what I found when I went into the interview room was that like basically the conversation could lead to anywhere, and
Right.
it's not always like a good idea to follow like a planned format.
Yeah, that is actually a really key, important message that I think lots of people should know about an interview, is that it's not going to be a set answer or a set route that you should like prepare, because anything can happen. Is that right? Like, did you diverge a lot from what they taught you like during the interview?
Definitely. I mean, sometimes I don't even recognize like what the initial question was.
Because they kept on asking feeding questions. Is that correct?
Yes.
So on the day, how did you like make sure that you were in the zone and you were ready without being too much stressed?
So basically before I walked into the interview room, they gave us like around an hour to prepare. So what I did was I wrote down everything I wanted to say, or I think it'll be useful. And after that, I just relax and just forget about it.
Yeah, I think that's a really key part, because especially when you've been preparing it for months and months, to the day you need to actually know that you'll be fine. You've done everything that you can up until today, and the results will be fine as expected, and since you already got in. So was there any specific resources that you found helpful in preparing for your medical application in general, whether it's about the BMAT, the interview, or your A-levels when you're using that to apply for medical school?
So I did my IGCSE, which is crucial because the BMAT exam, the questions are based off IGCSE.
Oh, really? It's not based off A-level?
No, it's based off IGCSE, but sometimes they may include like certain A-level topics. Only sometimes. Though.
So GCSEs, for people who don't know, is the period between year 10 and 11, where they teach you the like basic concepts before you choose to learn more about a specific subject in year 12 and year 13, which is your A-level. So what did you use to prepare for the BMAT?
So I used practice questions, but I found out that like the older ones aren't very useful because I think they change it quite frequently. And I think it's better just to like understand the content.
Right.
But only do the past paper to like just get the feel of the exam.
Right. So an advice from Platt is that the previous like older past papers are obviously not as accurate, you would say, to the current ones, and it's always up to date. So make sure to understand the content. And for the interview, how did you prepare? Did you like talk to your friends, or how did you practice apart from the crash course?
Oh, so for the interview, I didn't really like prepare much like in the traditional sense, but I just basically just reflect on like what I've did the past few years and how I may apply it to like interview questions.
Right, so you tried to like look back at your achievements and then reflected upon that. That's really a good idea, because sometimes I feel like when you get into the zone of thinking about a question too much, you diverge from like trying to present who you really are as well. So could you share the experience during the interview? So there's 6 stations. Yes. So how's the overall roller coaster feeling of the interview?
So for me, I started off at station 6.
Oh, yep. So it could be random?
No, because it's not that it's random. It's more like a rotation. So there's 6 people, and each person starts off at like a different station.
Yeah.
So basically, like you rotate in a circle.
Oh, so it's like completely random where you start, and then you follow the route around. So do you mind sharing? So you started off at 6? I started at 6. So 6 is basically, like I said, the art section where we have to describe and define it. And it's quite tough because we only get 5 minutes to understand like an art piece. Yeah. Because
usually like you have to take time to like understand it
and analyze it. So you found it started off quite tough with the station 6, and then what did you find as your easiest station?
I feel like station 6 or 5 is the easiest one because like it feels like you're communicating with you're actually communicating one-on-one with the interviewer. It's not like question 1, answer 1, question 2, answer 2. It's not like that.
Oh, so you found station 6 as a more like easy way to approach it.
It feels more like a real conversation you can
right.
have. And a very like there's gonna be one section, so station 1, right? It's a bit like off because the interviewer doesn't really talk much.
Oh, is this for all cases?
I'm not sure, but it might be due to like different like types of interviewer because for the interview there's not only 6 interviewers, there's more than that. But I'm just like shifted to this I'm shifted to like group B and there's group A.
Oh, so there's like, first of all, there's 6 stations, and then there's also
Group A and
Group A, Group B, which means there's 12 interviewers, and then it's just. And how many applicants are doing this interview?
Around like 200.
Around 200, great. So not only is this all about luck, but it's also about your potential to actually match the energy with your interviewee. So in your case, you mentioned that in station A, they didn't really talk a lot. How come?
Oh, station 1. Yeah, they don't really talk much. So most of the time, it's just the interviewee like explaining everything to the interviewer. So I think what they want us to get from that is to like basically like show us like try to prove that we're like a good communicator, even though like the person across us isn't responding much.
Right, so you're trying to make them feel more engaged in this case, which is really interesting and definitely something that anyone should be prepared for if he has experienced it. So on to the last question of today's interview. So I'd like to ask you, Platinum, what was an important lesson that you would like to share to help make the process of applying to CICM Thammasat University more effective?
So I think it's best if you prepare like a year in advance.
Oh, so 1 year in advance.
Because basically the schedule is really tight. You have to complete your BMAT, prepare a portfolio that's up to date, and as well as visiting open houses if you feel like it.
So there are a lot of information that we learned about the process of applying to medical school today. So there's a lot of information that we learned today about the process of applying to medical school. And I'd like to thank you, Platinum, so much for sharing your inspiring medical journey and valuable insights with us. Thank you.